evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to VSL F1 Season 6. This is round number 13. Last week we were in Europe. This week we head to a different continent. We head to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. It's played host to Canadian Grand Prix since 1978, the year where the man who the track is named after won at the event, and there was lots of other things that happened around this track that a lot of people remember, including the famous accident in 1991 where Mansell ran out of fuel and Nelson Piquet, who was 57 seconds behind Mansell before his stoppage, flew past and took the win. How dominant was Mansell in that race before that was yet to be known, but there we go. But anyway, I'm Jess. I will be your commentator for this evening, and last week we were at Monaco, and to be honest, it was quite an interesting race in terms of strategy. I think there was only like 12 finishes, and obviously the top 12 score points anyway. And it was pretty intense, and we saw Iceman took his first win of the season, his first win for quite a long time actually, and he was very delighted when he said it on Twitter after the race as well. He was very, very happy. Carl was fourth, but he had a unfair penalty which got removed, so that got promoted him up to second. That means Mata was in third, so those three will be doing the two-stop this week, but it's not going to be as bad doing the two-stop because when we talk about it later, the two-stop is actually probably the best strategy to do on this track. Glock was in fourth, Kev was in fifth, Brian Berry was in sixth, Niels was in seventh, Newgarden was in eighth, Matt was in ninth, Ryan was in 10th, Peter was 11th, and I'm losing count, okay? Then it was Peter, then it was Yuri, then it was Akon. So there we go. We're going to look at the drivers' standings now. We have a few more rounds to go, so the championship is going to get even tighter. So we got Mata, who's leading the championship on 228 points. Carl in second with 198. Pete in third with 130. Fourth is Brandon with 107. Fifth is Ryan Berry with 99. Sixth is Red Matt with 97. Seventh is Glock with 75. Eighth is Iceman with 73. Ninth is Bankai, who was still reserve actually on 67. And 10th is Akon on 64. On the other side of the grid, we've got 11th is M. Ryan with 62 points. 12th is Risky with 48. 13th is J-League with 45. 14th is Yuri on 41. 15th is Ahmed with 38. 16th is Tony on 33. 17th is Kev on 33 as well. 18th is Niels on 32. 19th is Newgarden with 31. Lee is 20th on 18. And Logan is last with 10 points. Constructors! Yellow are flying away with it at the moment. 397 points to Green's 335 points. Blue is in third with 321. Fourth is Pink with 277. And Red is in last place, sadly, with 201 points. So, we're going to have a look at the track ever so slightly before we head to qualifying. Don't forget, it is one-shot qualifying here today. So, they only have one chance to get it right. And commonplace to invalidate, I would say. So, the track is 4.3 kilometers long and it has 14 turns. 6 to the left and 8 to the right. And it has 3 DRS zones. 1 at the start finish straight. 1 going into the final quick chicane at turns 13 and 14. And 1 after turn 7. I'm sure it's going to provide some amazing action. Who remembers back in 2011 when we saw Jenson Button overtake Sebastian Vettel on the final lap in 2011 to win one of the greatest races of all time? I have to say, one of my favourite races ever. So, we got the longest flat-out section in Sector 3, which I feel like is really, really good. And we got the 3 compounder tyres used for today's race. We've got the C5, the C4, and the C3, the soft, mediums, and the hards. And the delta is 0.5 of a second slower than the mediums from the softs. And the mediums is 0.5 slower than the softs, and the hard is 1.4 seconds slower than the softs. I need to get my words right today. The softs can last 12 laps, the mediums can last 19 laps, and the hards can last 24 laps. Pole time's expected to be in the 108s, 107s, maybe 108s I think tonight, because it is one-shot quali, which means only one shot to get it right really. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. Interesting fact about the track as well. Michael Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton share the record of the greatest number of wins at this track. Schumacher won 7 times between 1994 and 2004, while Hamilton equalled his tally with victory in the 2019 race. And Jacques Villeneuve never won the Canadian Grand Prix, a circuit named after his father. His best result at the track was second on debut back in 1996. And German drivers have more podium finishes than drivers from any other nation at this circuit, and that was 24. Sebastian Vettel's third place finish in 2014 is the only time a German has finished on the final step of the podium. So without further ado, I'm going to let you see the action now. Let's get cracking. I know you're ready. I'm ready. So let's get going. The drivers are readying up and getting their setup sorted because they will be at Parc Fermé straight after qualifying. And I wonder what tyres they will be qualifying on. So let's go on board with Mata this week. I think we went on board with everyone on a hot lap, so I had to pick someone. So anyway, heading towards turn 1 to 3, quite a few tricky uphill sprints to get right, and it's very, very tricky as you head towards turn 4. You should be at full throttle coming up through here, and you'll be heading towards turn 5 very soon, and it is a simple flat out corner. You've got to be left of the track when you get to the braking zone of turn 6. The exit turn 6 rapidly becomes turn 7. Clip the curb on the right just a little bit as you turn into 7. And after DRS straight, you'll reach turn 8. You need to brake just as you go under the bridge and aim for that sausage curb. Heading towards turn 9. 100 metre board to brake for turn 10. You're heading to the apex of the hairpin. Aim for that. Turn 11 is a small kink of the road on the exit 10. And turn 12 is the next thing you've got to really think about. The DRS straight. Full power here. And you'll be around about 205 miles per hour. Turn 12 and 13, the famous Wall of Champions. And a lot of people tend to invalidate around here. And it's a good lap for Mata. And I did say pole would roughly be about 108. And it is. Glock is fastest. And Mata is in P9 with a 109.2. And I think Yuri binned it somehow, I think. So, where is he at the moment? But, yeah, he binned it. So he was starting near the back of the grid. Well, at least he didn't invalidate. Someone else, unfortunately, invalidated. So we're about to take you through the qualifying results. So, Glock is in first, 5 tenths quicker than Pete. Jamie had a good qualifying in third. He's filling in for Team Pink tonight. Carl in 4th, Risky in 5th, Mata in 6th, Kev in 7th. Ahmed in 8th, he's back tonight. Welcome back, Ahmed. Ryan Berry in 9th and Lee in 10th. Then we got Akon in 11th. Tony in 12th, M. Ryan in 13th, Niels in 14th, Iceman got disqualified, and Yuri did not set a lap time. Let us know your predictions for the race. Who do you think is going to do well? Who you think is going to succeed? Who you think is not going to be doing so well? We'll have to find out very, very soon. Massive shout out to all of you that are watching. And we do know weather could definitely play a factor in this race. And look at that. Just as if it couldn't get any worse, it is raining at the circuit. So that's why everyone that you saw on the screen qualified on the softs. There was no one that set their lap times on the mediums. I'm almost certain it's going to be intermediate conditions. There's nowhere near the track for 4 wets. Intermediates last exactly the same amount of time than the mediums, so around about 19 laps. But with the tyre temperatures on these inters, it could be a bit of a struggle. So they may have to manage their tyres a bit more. Maybe aim for a 1 stop. I think the ones on the 2 stop, if it's going to stay conditions like this for the entire race, they are going to be in a lot of trouble. They were hoping to not rain today, and unfortunately it has. So we're going to look for the action zones here today. Turn 1. There's a lot of overtaking zones around the lap and could often be in the scene of incidents. So usually some people take a little bit of caution going around there. Turn 3 as well. Loads of people could be late on the brakes there. And we've seen a lot of moves where people can send it down the inside. And if defending from here, the drivers have been warned to not move in the braking zone as the wall is very, very close to them on the left. Also, don't forget turn 5 is a very tricky corner. It's a very easy corner at glance, but it's very tricky for the curb on the inside. Hitting the curb will probably send it into a spin, and it may result in an early retirement. And turn 12, we've seen... I've commentated on a race actually on Monday where it was at Canada. We've seen quite a few people losing the rear through there, so we just got to watch out there as well. And the race distance around this circuit is, if I just check my fat, is around about 152 kilometres, 94.843 miles. The lap record around here in terms of the race is Valtteri Bottas with a 1:13.078 and 35 laps await our drivers, and it's a clockwise circuit. Now, with the rain in the mix for our drivers tonight, I can't really call it who is going to be winning this race. It's going to be, I think, very, very tough for the drivers, and it's going to be probably like the closest I've ever seen, to be honest. But you never know what could happen. It could always throw a little bit of a spanner in the works, but we'll see. So the drivers are readying up now. The drivers have been good engines and been waiting for the admins to say ready up, so it's all good. So we can see what's going to happen then. Let's hope there's not chaos in the first lap. There is prone to having a little bit of a safety car action, but hopefully that will not happen. So, I do believe it will be inters. The track looks a bit damp, so I won't be surprised if that's the case. So, without further ado, it is, I think, inters. If it will let me get the tyres. Yes, it is inters. I thought it was. Because there's some occasions in Canada where I've commentated on a race and it started dry with wet conditions, and I was like, what? The drivers were confused. I was confused more than anything because I was like, what? You know, I was a bit meh. But, you know, it happens sometimes. It's a sort of a thing that people have got to get used to in a way. So I'm used to showing the tyres and telling people what people on, but they're all on the same tyres as well. It's going to go down to the driver's skill. Have people picked a wet setup for this race? That's probably why qualifying was a bit slower than usual, potentially. Or have they gone for a balanced setup so it works well in the dry or in the wet? And in the wet. And my question is as well, is it going to dry up as well towards the end, or is it going to stay like this for the whole of it? There are many questions that remained to be answered and remain to be seen, and people could not make mistakes. There are some people that are on the bubble of getting eliminated from the championship fight, so a good result here will put them back into the fight and carry on for another 3 more races after this one. I need to double check where we are next week, but we are at Australia next week, which always brings surprises, but I'm sure Canada is going to throw some surprises as well. As you can see, Carl is already on the grid. Unfortunately, he did get disqualified from the formation lap. So, a bit of a shame there. So, we're about to get underway. Not much bit of a hold up, but the tyres are going to be cold, so I hope people have warmed up their tyres during the formation lap. It'll be interesting to see how much fuel people are putting there as well. But anyway, 16 drivers tonight, not as many as usual, but that doesn't matter. We head to the 5 red lights. And we are underway at VSL F1. It looks like a pretty decent start from also from Pete too, as they all make it through into turn 1, as the camera took a while to decide on how people were going to get a good start. But look at Jamie trying to go around the inside of Pete as they head towards turn 2. Doing it very, very well indeed. Has there been any contact from anyone? Not so far, but the visibility is very, very tricky for the drivers. Luckily, I'm the one in the commentary booth, not the one in this race, because I wouldn't want to be where they are at the moment. As we can see, the two pink cars at the back going side by side, heading towards turn 7. And down the bridge they go. The gap is getting increasingly closer. Look at Risky. Risky's had a good start as well. Carlos dropped all the way down to 5th. Maybe his cold tires have hit him a little bit. Oh no, there's a spin in the likes of Ahmed in the middle of turn 8 and 9. Don't forget, turn 9 is the king, and it is left front wing damage, and pretty much all of it has gone, unfortunately. And you can start to see the deltas changing, and unfortunately some of the deltas have mixed up, unfortunately, but that's what you get sometimes. And I won't be surprised if we get the timing tower of terror at the moment. But anyway, we still got a massive train, keeping it consistent right now. And I think with the rain, the drivers are leaving it a bit more cautious. Don't forget, Jensen Button 2011 was an absolute masterclass in terms of the weather conditions. And also, Alesi as well got his only win here. His first win. Ricardo got his first win back in 2014. There was lots of safety cars there as well. Ryan Berry looking good up in 9th position. We've seen people feeling very good about this track, because I know some people class is a street circuit. I don't, but mainly because I love this track. Now you can see the predicted pit stop strategy you just popped up on my screen, and it popped up on your screen as well. The gap's starting to increase a little bit. I think with the rain, I think it is a bit of mixed ability, but it's fine. They're just finding their feet a little bit. No DRS, don't forget, so it's going to be, the drivers are going to be relying on slipstream as much as they possibly can. As Leah's got a time penalty already, don't be surprised to see a lot more time penalties than usual as they head towards, I need to get the track map up actually so I know the corners very well, but as they head into turn 3 and then into 4. Very nicely controlled from both the blue cars. And we've got Mata in Team Green. One of the drivers on the 2-stop, as well as Kyle. Iceman down in 10th. Not what he wanted. Maybe he was hoping for a late safety car. And I wouldn't be surprised if people could potentially go for moves in the next couple of laps or so. I think we'll probably go see a few people get warnings, but Carl is very, very close to Risky heading into this hairpin. So we'll see what he could do here, heading into 12. And now we're going to be approaching turn 13. Can he get close enough? He's got good cornering speed. You can see Risky has probably tailored his setup to have a little bit more straight line, but we've got a battle for a freeway belt for P6. Ryan's going to go to the left, and now he's going to move to the outside. Kev just stays ever so slightly around the outside. Using his overtake, and can he get the line into turn 3? Yes, he does. Absolutely fantastic stuff for Team Blue. They are wanting to be ahead of Team Red in this race, and they're doing so very well. Kevin Ryan had a very good race last week. Iceman, last week's race winner, knows that he could potentially be faster than these guys, and he's thinking, you know, hang on, I could potentially get the move done. And the reason why Glock is so quick up front is he doesn't have the visibility problems that the other drivers have. Meanwhile, Carl and Risky, Carl has overtaken him. Risky is struggling. Matt is also going to try and make the move, but he couldn't do it so far. I think I did see in the background Lee getting past Acorn up into 12th position. And we're also going to see more moves from Iceman again. He's got to be 2 temps in order to make the move worth it. And he's probably going to hope for other people to make a mistake here. 33%. I usually tend to use less ERS in the rain, but because these are a lot faster drivers than me, they tend to use more because they want to get up very, very quickly due to the lack of DRS, and they want to get close to other cars so they can get the tow that they need. Now coming up is the corner where we saw Sebastian Vettel lose it, and that where we saw Jensen Button take the win all those years ago. There's quite a few Canadian Grand Prix in years go by where it has been raining. Not many though, but the majority of the time it has been cloudy. Past turn 8 now. This could be Iceman's chance now. A little bit too further back, so let's watch Ryan Berry. 5 temps, it's just... 5 temps is just not quite enough for the drivers to get their head around. So we're going to see how I think people could take advantage. Now, Jamie's in the pits. Did he get damage? Or is it a strategic call? It is a strategic call for the guy who is racing in a pink today. I wonder if it will pay off for him. I do believe he will have to make another stop, though, because the intercept he's got right now will definitely not make it to the end. It's just impossible, or maybe he'll struggle with tyre wear. Meanwhile, the 2 pinks were fighting. I think there was 2 reds fighting as well. Kevin's back up into 7th. Jamie, with the fresh tyres, gets past Niels very comfortably, and it's up into P10. Don't forget the top 12 score points today. And if you get the fastest lap, no matter where you are, you will get an extra 2 points added to your name. So a little extra incentive, especially if you're closer to that P1 spot in the championship, which Mata has been holding a long time. Mata has been leading the championship for a bit, and he was last season's champion. And he's looking to hold on to that title just a little bit longer. He doesn't want to give it to anyone. He wants to keep it all to himself as Iceman gets past Jamie in the hairpin. Very, very nice. He's going to go side by side, heading towards turn 12. Heading towards turn 13 now. Can he hold it? Iceman goes to the outside potentially, but he has to stay back and conceive. Jamie gets back P9 again. But I wonder if Iceman is going to challenge for the move into turn 1. We'll have to wait and see. Yuri has got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. I won't be surprised if we see a lot more. There's a bit of a slide from Iceman. And don't be surprised if we see a lot more slides from a lot of the drivers, as 3 drivers have got penalties so far. Yuri's in the pits, Lee's in the pits also, and I believe that was for strategic purposes, or did Lee get damage? I don't know. Let's have a look, actually. So pit stops. So Ahmed, Lee and Yuri, all their pit stops were for front wings, and Jamie was the only driver to have it strategically. And that's very helping him right now. He's all over this car train at the moment. Kev, oh, what happened to Ryan? I just caught a glimpse of him in the corner of my eye and just did not know what happened. But you can see Ryan Berry fighting back with Iceman as well. Iceman is thinking, you know what, I can get involved in this fight too. Final corner, people trying to avoid the wall of champions. Let's hope Mata does not hit, or not any of the other VSL champions. And yes, it has been raining in Britain at the moment, because most of the days this week here in the area I live in the UK, it was chucking it down. It's been okay today, mainly cloudy though. Quite dark at the moment though. That's why I've turned my light on, but there we go. So I wonder if the British weather has translated to what's there in the game. I won't be surprised if that happened, as P has picked himself another penalty. Or actually, no, it's his first penalty, my bad. He's in second, but look at the gap Glock is having up front. 11.6. He's just loving life. He could take himself a holiday right now. He could just cruise control. It's amazing. But meanwhile, Jamie with those fresher tyres, the Delta is improving for him. Up to 7th. But Kev's having none of that. You can see Iceman right on the back of Ryan Berry too. Using his overtake for his advantage. He's got plenty of deployment to use. Not using all of his overtake though, because he doesn't want to run out before he gets to the start-finish line, because I've seen that happen to a lot of the drivers many, many a time. I think the visibility is not helping, and the dirty air as well. So two of the things combined, plus the spray, is hindering the driver's performance on just getting past, really. Niels as well is also in this fight. So I think it's from M. Ryan all the way down to Niels, because Jamie is caught right up to the back of M. Ryan now. And I think it's going to be a question of when, not if, I think, because obviously M. Ryan's still yet to pit. I wonder if Jamie is thinking of an early safety car, because if he times it well, then maybe it could work. Because then, obviously, the next time he pits, hopefully, it will be his final stop. So let's see, then heading towards the hairpin. Can he gain the cornering speed that he needs here? All the people in the grandstands are getting their brollies up. It's not going to be that long in the UK before many of the restrictions ease. And we got Mata and Risky going side by side. Mata up into 4th, but Risky's like, hang on. You're not getting P4 that easy. He's going to have a challenge once again into turn 1. Aiming for the left-hand side, he goes. But he just wasn't that confident. He just, he didn't want to get involved too much. He realised that there wasn't enough space for him. So he decided to just not take the risk. Because Iceman is in the pits for his first stop. Because Iceman is on a 2-stop strategy today. He has to make 2 stops. Niels is pitted as well. I don't think that's going to make it to the end. But he comes out anyway. I wonder if the guys are going to respond, because what I've noticed around here in Canada is the undercut strategy is probably the most powerful around this track more than any other track, due to the pit lane loss and also the pit lane exit as well. And if you're not lucky to get the undercut, you're going to be in a little lot of trouble. So you'll have to potentially pit straight away, even if you think it's not the right decision. As Kyle decided that he wanted to respond to Iceman by the looks of things, or he just wanted to go for the undercut strategy on the leaders. So he comes in and he's on to another set of inters as well. He'll be on for final stop. I think I would say lap 20 would be people's final stops at the earliest. Kyle comes out, then let's see where Kyle comes out in relation to his rivals. Not too bad, actually. This could be pretty decent for him. As Jamie's picked himself a 3-second time penalty as well. I think all but 2 or 3 drivers are going to get penalties today. That is going to be my predictions. I know a few drivers are probably going to complain at me saying, Jess, why on earth are you doing that? Why are you saying that? But, that's the thing sometimes. Carl easily gets past M. Ryan there. I wonder if M. Ryan is going to do the same as what Kyle did a lap earlier. So, Glock can pit whatever he wants, so he can stay for a little bit longer. So, he's going to have the benefit of potentially also going for the 1 stop. But he's got to have really good time management. Because I know some people do not practice for the wet. They don't practice their time management in the wet conditions. So it could be a struggle for all of them. So it's getting the balance right. It's not overdoing it. Risky's in the pits as well. So here he comes then. So where is he going to end up? Carl is way ahead of him. He's just... Well, he's ahead of Acorn, but he's slotted into P8. But don't forget Kev and M. Ryan still to pit, so he's in a net... I would say net P3 right now if everyone was going for the 2-stop. But if everyone's going for the... Some people are going for the 1-stop, then they will be in a net P4 because Glock will probably do a 1-stop as well. So will Pete, I would say. Pete's got a comfortable gap to Matter in 3rd. But Matter is an underdriver who has to make 2 stops, and he hasn't made 1 yet. So if I was him, I do not know why he's not coming in yet. Maybe he's comfortable with that set of tyres. Maybe he wants to have 2 equal stints. And speaking of that, he must be watching the stream or something, because here he goes into the pit lane. And I think he's going to be not too happy that he had to do the overcut, but at least he's come out of the pits anyway. And you can see how powerful the undercut was. Pete's in the pits. He just got Kyle, but yeah, I think Kyle showed that pitting just a lap earlier is helping him. But with Pete on fresher tyres, you could get him. It's going to take a while for Pete to warm his tyres up to a sufficient level, but when his tyres get warmed up, he's going to be quicker and quicker and quicker. I wonder if Pete will be going for the undercut in the next lot of pit stops. I won't be surprised that he does, because the drivers have to respond to the amount of change that they have as Risky gets past Kev. I'm missing quite a few battles today. I do apologise about that. And I wonder who I'm going to be speaking to at the end of the season to crown a champion, because, you know, it's looking like it could be Matter, but Glock has been having some really good performances as of late. He's in 7th. It may not be enough, but he can sneak into the top 5. Because the top 2, the top 3 are running away with it. Actually, the top 2 are running away with it right now. So I think it's down to really Kyle and I would say Matter. But I'm sure the people in these 2 teams will probably work together to try and help these 2. In particular, Pete as well. 1.1 seconds is the gap. And M. Ryan is in the pits. So we'll keep an eye on who has made their first stops. So everyone has made their first stops apart from Kev and Glock. And we saw Lee retired from the session. And I'm just having a quick look at where he's retired. There is a yellow flag. His car is gone, so it may... Oh. That's not a good place to retire your car. So I'm guessing he just spinned in the wall. He was just not liking the conditions at all, so he just lost it. I think the slide there did not help him there. So we lost 1 driver from this race so far. And I have to say, the drivers are keeping it relatively clean. I'm really surprised. I'm very, very impressed. Let's hope they can carry on, touch wood. And I don't know why the ones that are staying out are doing the 1-stop, because the tyres are just not good enough right now. And even though Glock has got a comfortable gap up front, Glock can do the 1-stop, it's fine. But for Kev, everyone else around him is definitely going to catch up. So it's going to be a bit of an issue. But for Glock, it doesn't matter. So we're starting to see more drivers pick up time penalties. I think a few people are starting to pick up 6 seconds, even 9 seconds worth of time penalties. Which I would say is not what you want. So we're the first third of this race done. 2/3 still to run. As Lee has left the session, he is gutted. And the only battle that we've got at the moment is potentially between our championship contender Kyle and Jamie. I wonder what Carl could do here, because he wants to be in this fight. Out of Mata and Carl, he is the highest out of the championship contenders, so he can really close the gap to Mata ever so slightly if Mata gets a poor result. As it has past turn 1 and 2 now. And I'll have to say, turn 2 is quite short. Actually, turn 1 is quite short. It's very, very windy. And I won't be surprised if a lot of people start to have rear tyre problems at the moment for the ones that have not came in yet. And I don't think the conditions are getting slightly better. But let's go on board with someone that's in a battle, because I want to see if the visibility has improved. It's slightly improved, ever so slightly. I think it could potentially be the same as it was before. So, boy, was I wrong. If I was racing right now, I'd be screwed. But anyway, Glock is in the pits. He has done his first stop, so he's just kept to his first stop now. Surely Kev has got to come in now. So where is Glock going to come out? But in front of a lapped car. So he's lapped someone at least. I believe that's Ahmed, who's having a really bad race so far. But he's still keeping going. And it's very important that you do not give up. Gap now being reduced to 13.1 seconds between him and Jamie. And Kev has decided, you know what? Glock has gone into the pits. I am going into the pits as well. Not ideal for him, because he was going to probably hope for the one stop, but maybe he was potentially forced into the two stop strategy too, and he probably had no other choice on what he wanted to do anyway. So Kev comes out in 12th, which is still in the points. So not a bad position, but usually I'm used to him scoring like 7, 8 places, not 12 places. But this race is far from over. You don't get points at this stage of the race. You get points at the end of the race. So it doesn't matter if people spin it like on the final lap maybe. If they do, then that's a race over. It's hard but fair, unfortunately. Not many people have been in the Wall of Champions, but touch wood, I'm not going to say anything more, because I'm worried I could jinx them. And I think it is starting to get very calm now. Unless you're the likes of Niels that want to find better grit to try and get past Iceman in P7. And I'll give you a quick update of the time penalties. We've done, I think, 50% of this race so far. So, Jamie's on 6 seconds. Pete is on 8 seconds. Iceman is on 3 seconds. Niels is on 6 seconds. And Ryan is on 6 seconds. Yuri is on 11 seconds. Tony's on 6, as Tony is going to go for a move into turn 3 and 4. And now Tony is having the advantage. 1 place more and he'll be in the points. Probably not now due to the amount of penalties, but he didn't even need to get past Yuri, but he wanted to try and get rid of that deficit just in case he gets the same amount of penalties as Yuri does. And I believe Yuri will be getting rid of that 5-second penalty anyway when he next pits. So after that, it will be 6 seconds. So he will be on the same penalties as Tony. So no one is within 8 tenths or so. So I think for these drivers it's going to be about survival. They're just not taking too much risk right now, which I would say is a good thing, but I would like to obviously see some more racing happening for the drivers. And I know you guys in the chat would like to also. But do not worry, we will have some more racing coming up for you very, very soon. If you like what you're seeing at the moment, don't forget to click the subscribe button to VSL F1. Turn notifications on so you know when to tune into us. We stream live on a Wednesday evening at 8 PM. So if you are watching the stream back and want to watch it live next time, you can. So next Wednesday, 8 PM, be there or be square, basically. But obviously, the ones that are racing, obviously they can't watch it live, so they'll be watching it back. They probably won't be watching this part of the race because it's quite a quiet bit of the race, but they'll probably be skipping to hopefully later on when it gets more busy. Just wait until obviously the pit stops. Now it gives me a chance also to tell me some more facts about the Canadian Grand Prix. And the 2001 Canadian Grand Prix was the first time two brothers finished first and second in a Formula One race. Ralf Schumacher won and Michael followed him home. I don't know how many races Ralf Schumacher has actually won, actually. I would like to know that myself. So if anyone could tell me in chat, that would be brilliant. Because I can't be bothered to do my research. I maybe should have done my research maybe soon. And we had a big gap in qualifying, but when it was obviously more chance of actually getting some laps in qualifying in real life, pole position has been decided by less than 1/10 of a second at 4 of the last 7 Canadian Grand Prix. As Pete gets... Oh, Jamie's in the pits. I thought Pete got past, but Jamie is going for the undercut. I did say end of lap 20. And Jamie's like, you know what? I'll do that. Because I'm guessing a lot of people have... Jamie has done his maths. He has realised when these inter tyres can go from... And he knows to not give up. So he's in a good position. 5th place still after he pits. So even though Glock's going to be ahead of everybody else anyway, that's not going to be too bad. Because there could be people making a mistake. I would say Glock will probably pit towards lap 26, lap 27. Pete, I would say lap 24. That's just like an educated guess. But, you know... The drivers want to do good amount of stints. They want to get their tyres up to temperature. If they're not as confident about the tyres, do equal stints, I would say. But if they are as confident about the tyres, do one short stint, maybe at the start and the middle. And then towards the end, do a very long stint. But make sure that is a stint where you focus on your tyres. You get them up to temperature. You do not have too much spins. Because that's the point where you're a lot comfortable at the track as well. You've done the lap so many times as well. I do see a bit of sunlight peeping. It's trying to come out, you know, and I don't know if it's getting better or if it's just me. You probably can't tell on your screen, but we will see. Fair play to the people in the grandstand that don't have any umbrellas. They must be soaking. Joking, it's the game. Of course, they wouldn't be there in real life. More penalties now. Bit of a penalty update once again. Risky has got himself a time penalty as well. And you can see, I think, a few cars already being lapped. So here comes Carl as he's trying to get past Ahmed. And I think another car too. I believe that's Yuri in front of Ahmed. So we could see a battle potentially brewing there too, which could be quite exciting. No, we're not, as Yuri had probably the biggest line known to man. And he saved that. That was a big save, I have to say. Fair play to Yuri. No damage, I don't think, but I don't think his tyres are going to be any good. Let's look at his tyres now. He's only been on those tyres for 2 laps, so not ideal. If it was in those tyres for longer, then obviously he would have appeared by now. Meanwhile, Risky's in the pits, comes in onto some fresh intermediate tyres. I almost said sauce then. So everyone, even though it's intermediate conditions, most of them are still doing the two-stop, which, to be honest, I would say it's a no-brainer, as Risky comes out in 9th position. And you can see the gaps as well. I'm almost certain, obviously, Jamie's going to be ahead of Matter and Pete. Obviously, Pete and Matter will be on fresher tyres at the end compared to Jamie. So I think we can see an intense battle between Pete, Matter and Jamie at the end, potentially as well. But there will be a big gap potentially as well. But who knows? Like I said, late safety car. I'm surprised we haven't seen a late safety car yet. Fair play. I don't think we had any virtual safety cars either. So, and New Garden is watching the stream. He couldn't make it tonight because he was busy. He had to sort some stuff out, so he ended up leaving where he was a little bit late. And in the chat, he is very in our in the VSL F1 Twitter chat, he is very relieved that he doesn't have to race in these conditions tonight, because I think he would have struggled. So Iceman is in the pit. A bit of a long hold. Oh, that's not good. Hopefully that's not the game glitching or any way, or it might just be a spectator glitch. I do not know. But he's going to come out way down the field. That is torturous, because of the guy who won this race, who won the Monaco Grand Prix, is not going to get a win this time about. Carl has already pitted too. And he's... Look at that. Look at the gap between Jamie and Carl. That undercut. Well, to be honest, it speaks for itself. It speaks quite some volumes here. And fair play to Jamie. Matter and Peter in the pits as well. And I believe Pete is serving his 5-second stop go. And Matter is going to be ahead of Pete. Only a little bit though. And so that will leave Jamie in second. But look at the gap between first and second now. 33.7 seconds. Probably the most dominant displays I've seen from this guy in a long time. Just imagine what he would have done if he joined at the start of the season. He probably would have given, I would say, Matter a run for his money. But there's been a lot of variety of wins in this season. Anything could happen. Meanwhile, more people in the pits, which is Acorn and Tony. Some more battles happening at this moment in time. Iceman can sense the opportunity to go into the top 10. Pete has picked this up another penalty. Don't forget, if people get to 30 seconds worth of penalties, they will be disqualified. I think someone either almost got to it at Metzco or got disqualified from it. I can't remember what it was. So here comes Iceman. Is he going to go to the right hand side? No, Kev covers him off. Nice defensive move from the Team Red car. Obviously Team Red towards in last place with 201 points. Team Yellow leading the standings for tonight at 397 points. So two of them have different agendas. Meanwhile, Ryan Berry from Team Red is in the pits. And he's going to go on to some Inters as well. So here comes Iceman once again. I didn't think he could get the move done this time. You can see Kev is running out of VOS due to the red light. So here's Iceman in the way as well. We'll find out. And I think the conditions are going to stay as they are. Although a little bit of a touch between Kev and Iceman. But you can see Ryan Berry, the overcut worked surprisingly. I think that just worked really well. So Ryan Berry, for the first time, was ahead of Kev. Maybe Kev got Maybe Kev's outlap wasn't very good, I don't know, but Ryan Berry doing a fantastic job and has already got a comfortable gap. He is warming those tyres really well. He's just taking it like a duck to water. But anyway, he's going to hope that a variety of things do happen. I have noticed that in some parts of the track the rain has got a bit lighter, so it could get dry towards the end of the race, or it might just be the game playing some tricks on me, which sometimes the game does bring some tricks. And Luke in the chat says rain in Canada is going to be good. Yes, rain in Canada always brings some challenges, and it's been like this for the whole race so far. It was a dry quali and it has been wet for the whole of this race into conditions, and I'll keep an eye on the stops. I think everyone's made, obviously it is the top three from last week's race had to do 2 stops. That is Matter, Carl and Iceman. I think all 3 of them have done 2 stops now, but I'm almost certain Kevin will have to make another stop because the time he pitted, there's no way those Ints are going to make it to the end. But you never know, anything can happen in Formula 1. And if a late safety car comes, Kev can jump way up the order. Same with the likes of Ryan Berry and Acorn. But I know a few people are lapped already, so that may not help them in any way, shape or form. But you never know. That hairpin is starting to get trickier. And I believe that is, I think everyone from 11th downwards now is lapped. So everyone is on the leading lap, I would say, from Iceman upwards. So M. Ryan goes into the pits. He'll probably be lapped 2 in the number 2 car onto another set of the intermediate tyres. Still shocked on why Kev is not pitting. Maybe Glock, I would say. Glock's got a comfortable gap right now. Glock can pit when he wants. If I was Glock, I would pit at the latest opportunity, go the fastest lap, go for the big win, and also try and go for the fastest lap as well. I don't blame him for doing that. So if I was him, do that. You've got nothing to lose. He's probably been the most dominant person. Take the most gambles. You could do it. Because what's the point in staying out for the 1 stop when you could go for 2 extra points? So the fastest lap so far is actually him right now. So there we go. He is pretty much a second quicker than almost everybody. The second quickest time is the guy in P4, and that's Matter, our championship leader. I wouldn't want to be on the same track as Glock, because I know I would be lapped 2 times or even 3 times over potentially. And we have a prediction in the chat that Glock is to get a puncher and give us an Is That Glock moment. Luke, I hope that does not happen. I really don't. I know it'll be great for the memes, but I know Glock will never let me live it down. And his tyres are going to make the distance anyway. He timed it correctly anyway, so as much as we would have liked Glock to potentially get a puncher to make this race more interesting, it's not going to happen. And I do believe Glock is going to lap Iceman as well. It's getting very, very windy at the moment. And not much is happening unless you're Ahmed and Yuri. Here comes Ahmed. Almost had a look on the right-hand side there. He could go to the left, but it depends where Yuri decides to go. Ahmed has saved plenty of ERS here into this back straight. Yuri is saying, no, you're not having any of my slipstream. You're not getting past me. Heading towards the final corner. And there you go. Yuri has pulled away there, showing who's boss as someone has hit the wall. Not quite sure who that was. That might have been risky in P6. Hopefully there's no damage there. And if there was, there potentially could be, I think, some minor damage there. But You know, Risky's been driving so well he could get some points, but penalties. Risky's only on 3 seconds. For him, that's not too bad. Glock's on 3, but again, he's got a big gap anyway, so it doesn't matter. So those two don't need to worry about any penalties, even if they get some, because obviously everyone else has got considerably more penalties than them and a bigger gap. So let's watch Yuri and Ahmed once again, because this is going to be a tasty battle. So here comes round number 2. Ahmed goes to the left-hand side. Yuri comes them off. Lay on the brakes goes Yuri into this hairpin here. Bit of a slide from both of them in these conditions. Yuri has got the most ERS, so he could be the one who gains from this situation. And he's got plenty of overtake to use as well, but he's not using it. He's not using it again. He's not too comfortable. So we'll see. He's just closing up to the gearbox and the start finish straight. Could this be the lunge he's looking for into turn 1? Again, not quite enough. It's hard to follow other cars around here, especially in these wet conditions. And Yuri has got the yellow warning light, which means if he carries on with the fuel mix as he's got at the moment, it's not going to get to the end of the race. Can Yuri go for the move once again? Oh, it's getting tight. The main reason why I'm following the battle for the bat, because there's not much battles happening anywhere else, which is the first time in a while. And Yuri has picked himself a 3-second time penalty, so Yuri will be ahead of Ahmed anyway, but he's got to be careful he does not get another one, because otherwise we'll end up fighting for position. But anyway, we'll go through your order then, as Glock has lapped another driver. I believe that's another Team Red car of, I believe that's Kev or Ryan. That's actually, could be Ryan actually, because he's the only other Team Red car there. So Glock is leading 37 seconds ahead of Jamie. Carl is in 3rd. Matter is in 4th, driving well. Carl and Matter, only drivers in the top 4 to not pick up a penalty. And if you do not pick up a penalty, then you are known as a god in VSL, I have to say, as Kev has picked up another one. Actually, it's his first one, actually, because he had none to begin with. So he is the next one to join the penalty club. Ryan Berry has got no penalties, neither has Akon either. So we've got 3 more laps to go of this Canadian Grand Prix. We've been in the North American continent for quite a bit. So we were in Europe last week, North America this week, if you include Canada. And then next week, we will be in Australia, the Oceania continent. And someone has gone for a spin. And it's Kev. It's Kev. So Acorn's now ahead of Kev. What's happened to Kev? You do not want to make a mistake like that with just a few laps to go. Kev is probably thinking, oh no, what is tyres looking like? 15 laps. Surely he hasn't got a puncher, right? I'll have a look, actually. But he is struggling just a little bit. Oh, he's got damage on his front wing. So that's probably why he was losing a little bit of straight line speed there, which can cost him quite a bit, and can cost quite a bit in the corners as well. As Kev goes into the pits, I think he can still go for fastest lap. He shouldn't give up by now, because he'll still try and get some points regardless. So here's his damaged front wing gone, and he's got a fresh front wing to replace it. And, oh, Kev has left the session, so he's not going to go the fastest lap. So he's going to be known as the Kev bot, I should say. 23 seconds is the gap now to Glock and Jamie. So Jamie saw that Glock pit to go for fastest lap. And that means we're not going to see a puncher from Glock today. Sorry, Luke. But to be honest, you cannot fault Glock today. But we'll go through Glock's performance in a few moments' time as Glock starts the final lap right now. No battles at the moment. So I think the positions are pretty going to come down to penalties more than anything. So you can't pick up any more. Because that makes a difference between gaining a few positions or losing a few positions. So we'll see. And you can see people are pushing every fibre. And right, not using much their ERS, but you can see Risky is pushing. He was on 9% just a moment ago as well. So they are trying to use the last of their fuel, the last of their ERS. But this man has been on top of his game since the very start of this race. He likes the rain. We know that from many leagues as well, including this one. He likes Canada, so rain plus Canada is a perfect mix for him. He comes towards the final corner. Luckily, he does not bin it in the Wall of Champions. And he takes the win in Canada for the VSL F1 Season 6 Championship. And Jamie is going to be very happy with this result. Getting some good results for Team Bink, who are currently sitting 4th in the standings, but could be higher after this race, potentially. Risky picks himself another penalty as well. Jamie comes across the line in 2nd. And I think Kyle may be in 2nd because he has no penalties, but it depends on how many penalties that Jamie has got. We shall see. Kyle across the line. P2 for Kyle. Jamie P3. Matta P4. I'm not going to do any maths at this point, so I'm just going to let people cross the line and then let the game do the maths. So Pete will come across the line in 5th position. It won't be that long before Risky comes across the line. Excuse me. And Risky will come across the line in 6th, or will he jump up to 5th? No, he's in 6th. Niels will come across the line in 7th. But I think Ryan Berry will jump some of these drivers, I think. So let's see what Ryan Berry does. No penalties is key. He's jumped to 7th. Good result from Ryan Berry once again. He likes P7, doesn't he? And Iceman bins it there. In celebration, he gets 9th. What could it be for him? But I'm sure that a P9 is better than no points at all. So Yuri's going to come across the line in 15th place. Not what he wanted. But I'm sure he can bounce back next week because we've got 3 more rounds to go after this one. Been a very quiet race. One of the quietest of the season. I was expecting to be a little bit more battles than that. But, you know, I guess in the rain, they didn't want to get involved in plenty of incidents. I expect the steward's office to be a bit quieter this week. Even though it was quieter last week, despite the incident despite the carnage we had in Monaco, there was only one incident reported, which was a penalty removal. So we will see. But anyway, we're about to get your results in. Glock is your race winner, and he also gets the fastest lap point, so he's got the hat-trick to this weekend. Well, tonight, technically. Pole, fastest lap, and the win. Maximum points, big dub. Carl is in 2nd, Jamie in 3rd, Matta in 4th. Matta, fair play, no penalties to his name, neither does Carl as well. Pete, 5th, Risky 6th. Ryan Berry, also another driver with it, no penalties to his name. Niels as well in 8th. I think he was the last driver to be lapped. No, actually, Iceman was the last driver to be lapped in 9th. Acorn in 10th. M. Ryan in 11th. Tony 12th. Kev 13th. Ahmed 14th. Yuri 15th. And our only retirement this week is Lee. So that has been the Canadian Grand Prix. We'll be back in Australia next week, where I know it'll probably produce quite a bit more interesting strategies than this week in terms of moving. But we will find out as the season goes on. It's going to be, I think, between Carl and Mata for the rest of the season. Mata will need a good result in order to extend his gap even more. Carl closed the gap this week. But will Mata extend it next week? We'll have to find out. Thank you for watching. I've been JessGames95. Make sure you follow us on Twitter as well, at VSL_F1. We'll see you next week for the Australian Grand Prix. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening. Goodbye.